gonna try to.
Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll, please.
Trustee Capoli? Trustee Meissen? Trustee Pankowski? Here. Trustee Bellinger? Here. Trustee Pymore?
Here.
Trustee Hatchett?
Here.
Treasurer Razak?
Here.
Attorney Agus? President Zilbert?
Here.
Attorney Gaddis is not here. I'm Dan Goulette, G-O-U-L-E-T-T-E, is set tonight from his firm.
Approval of agenda. I need to add under
Attention on the net.
I'm going to put it under myself. It will be item M, Christine Burgess.
You said Burgess.
Burgess. Any others?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
And probably moved and supported that the agenda be approved as amended. Sorry.
The agenda we were sent out, we don't have that.
I had to grab this cake.
Yes, JKL, it is space. It is a space.
It was a,
No, it's not ours. I have JKL. We have just JK.
That was in that way.
there was a second agenda sent out.
Because their vehicle was added.
Any other questions on the agenda? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment on the agenda.
I'll make it short, I'll try to go rapid fire. I see on the consent agenda, they don't have code enforcement. If you guys want to add that, that'd be great, because if when I do attend, I'd like to just come up and address anything that I have to share and anything that you may have to ask of me, and then be on my way, hopefully. As much as I like having been on there, I'd rather not sit for, however full that it might be in the future. Also, under attorney items, as code enforcement officer, I just want to address one point. Sign ordinance is on there. I don't know if you guys are still intending on taking action on that today. Last I heard, just literally a few days ago, I think it was on Friday, I think they still have some kinks to work out on that, so tread lightly there. Please don't rush it. There's some issues with the temporary signs portion of it. I don't know if they got ironed out, so please don't rush into that. Also, just as a general resident of the village, I see that the 47 acres is once again on the agenda. Get that thing sold, get some houses up.
Any other public comment on the agenda? Approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented or as amended.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some changes in this.
Yes, I did that. Support.
And probably moved and supported. We approve the minutes of May 14th as amended. Questions on the motion?
Hey, are we gonna get a revised set that included the, motion to adopt on ordinances 362 and 363?
Not from April, not May.
Are we at April?
No, we just did May.
Nay.
Oh, May.
Was that a May issue or April
It
issue?
was in April.
That was an April issue.
Okay, so,
Usually we do the old one first.
and we did the April,
I thought we tabled it because there was revisions that needed to be made. So I don't think
Yeah.
April was ever approved.
April wasn't approved. April should be on the agenda.
Yep.
We'll have to make sure we address April
Okay.
next month. Any other questions on the motion?
Then I have two amendments to the May one then, where it says the approval of April 9th minutes, it should be as amended instead of as presented. Or it doesn't even say as presented, but it should be as amended. And then under closed session, there are no votes to go into and to come out of closed session. The results of the votes are not there, and for adjournment.
Yeah, it should be done.
So we're amending where it says.
Excuse me. Don't start that, please. Mr. Cole, you were saying?
No, that's it. It's just the votes are reflected under closed session, open session, and adjournment.
Say that again, I'm sorry on that.
There are motions to go into closed session, but no votes recorded. There's motion to go out of or back into open session,
Okay.
and no votes recorded.
Good. I hear you. And that was for the maybe.
Nay.
And so are you offering those as amendments to the meeting?
Yes.
Minutes? We have a motion on the table. This is Bradmore. Did you make the motion to approve the May
As amended, yeah.
as amended? And those amendments are accepted.
Do you have a second? Did you have a second?
I seconded
Yeah,
those.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Oh, second?
Been moved and supported that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Questions on the motion?
There's some discrepancy about the fire department report. Can you figure that out?
Discrepancy. What was the discrepancy?
There was something about the information was from I'm sorry, January.
I'm not aware of what you're referring to.
Was it the fire department or was it the sheriff's department?
Oh, the sheriff's
Oh,
department.
sorry, the sheriff, yes.
Oh, the sheriff's department. Any other questions on the motion?
So are we going to keep that part of the agenda, or do we want to discuss removing that piece?
This one,
Oh, I apologize, you are correct. I'm sorry, I didn't notice that. I was focused on, okay, where is this piece of this?
That's,
Yes, I'm good, thank you, Dave.
any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Bradmore?
yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Polly?
Yes.
Trustee Bellinger? Yes. Trustee Hatchett?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski? And President Dilbert?
Yes. Item A, the smart contract resolution. Mr. White and read it on, yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff White with Richmond Lennox EMS. With me tonight is Fred Barbarat. Fred is the actual Smart Transit Authority. Just real quickly, have before you again this evening comes kind of an annual event transferring to the Richmond Lennox EMS $4,560 in municipal credits so we can continue to operate small bus service within your community. Just to give the council some idea, last year we transported 2,318 residents with the small buses here, so it's averaging about $2 a ride is all, so it's pretty affordable. Most of you are aware, I think, because I've been here before in front of most of this council, that we provide service to seniors, disabled, folks needing rides to work. We provide service down the 23 Mile Road in Gratiot so people can connect with other smart buses to go farther down into the Mount Clemens area and even into Detroit. Anyone in New Haven can obtain a ride with regards to our transit service by simply calling 586-749-7713. I just want to touch real briefly before the council takes this matter up on an expansion that we have made to the service effective the 1st of June. Right now we operate regular service from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. We'll operate a little later on Saturdays if we need to. We just find that most of our riders haven't called during that time period. We have begun service again starting June 1st with one trip a day. It's on a what I call a first come, first call kind of service. On Mondays through Saturdays, we are making one trip a day and one return a day to Detroit Metropolitan Airport. The idea behind that is really, we think we've done a pretty good job with your service, and that service is provided to your communities and a number of other communities. We think we've done a pretty good job serving our senior and disabled population. We've done a real good job taking care of maybe our 60 and over group, and I'm getting much closer to being a part of that, by the way. But we have not been able to really bring service to the, kind of the 25 to 50-year-olds that are moving into our communities. There's really just not a lot there for them. Most of them are independent. Many of them drive themselves places. But one place that is always, an extra challenge to get to, whether it be for business or vacation purposes or other travel, is the airport. They end up having to go down there, park the car, and have the expense with regards to that. And with this service, you can actually call us, make an appointment, and get service to the airport, and then get picked up when you return home and brought back to your home. We'll take as many people. The vehicle will hold 12 people, so if you have a party bigger than 12, we'll have to work something out. But we can take, a person and their family, for instance, or a person and their business associates down to the airport once each day. We're going to start that pickup. The first available time for pickup is 5 a.m. with the last available pickup at the airport at 7 p.m. So just people need to book their flights accordingly. We are telling people that we want them to schedule their flight or schedule their transport on the bus for 4 hours ahead of their flight. And I know that sounds like a long time, but all it takes is one accident on I-94 or a couple areas of construction, and the normal hour-and-a-half trip to the airport turns into 3 hours pretty fast, and you haven't made it through security yet. And so we don't want to be the reason that you miss your cruise or vacation or business meeting. And so we're telling people to book their rides 4 hours in advance. So that is a new and expanded part of our service. I never say there is no cost to the service, because in fact there is. Everybody in New Haven and throughout Macomb County pays nearly $1 million for SMART. We're just leveraging some of those funds back here to New Haven and Lennox and Richmond and the surrounding communities to provide another level of service to the folks paying the taxes. And so those buses don't do me any good sitting in a garage. And so if we can provide something to our residents that will make them see there's a value to the SMART program, I think that's part of our job. With that, if there's no particular questions, I can turn it over to Fred for a moment and then leave it to the board to vote. smart resolutions.
Any questions for Mr. White? Sorry, Brad.
Thanks, folks. It happens. Part of what I just wanted to share, I don't want to delve into this too much, but Jeff talked about every one of those rides being about $2. Obviously, it costs more than that to provide the actual service. And part of what the village pays for is we use that as a match to bring federal and state funds back to the region. And a lesson I learned as an intern in the summer of 1985 in Lansing was that the state of Michigan has long been a donor to the federal government. And I remember that lesson at that time, thinking that anytime I can bring money back to Michigan, or especially Southeast Michigan, that would be something I'd work on. And so most recently, there was a grant for a little over $250,000 that we executed with Jeff. And part of those municipal community credit dollars that you allocate to his program allows us to use that as a match to bring those federal funds back to help subsidize that program so that you can do it for $2 a piece. So I just wanted people to be aware of that we are looking at big picture stuff and that we are working together to make sure those funds go as far as possible. So if anybody has any questions, I'm always available. And safety, I think, is back on speed now.
And just so the council is aware that we will retain $7,835 in community credit, and that's the money that we use for our bus trips and things of that nature. So with that being said, we have resolution number 19-007. A motion in order?
I move to adopt resolution 19-007, authorization to purchase Village of New Haven Transit Services.
Support.
It's been properly moved that we adopt resolution number 19-007, transferring money to the Richmond Lennox EMS. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Brocoli?
Yes.
Trustee Mikowski?
Yes.
Trustee Bellinger? Trustee Pymore?
Yes.
Trustee Hatchett?
Yes.
President Hilbert?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Item B, Neptune water meter reading equipment.
Good evening. We're coming to you today because our current water reading equipment is starting to reach its life. It's coming to an end. Our handheld, I should say. So we're asking to upgrade to a new mobile data collection system. We had first come out, give us a run through of how this operates, and it's actually the same price as a new handheld would cost. But this will read 50 meters per signal compared to 1 meter per signal with the handheld. So we can pretty much cut read times down, a lot easier, and we're coming to the end of our handheld, which we will still keep for the time being, but trying to get something new before our handheld goes down. Because if our handheld goes down, we have no way of getting replacement parts or anything. We'll just keep.
It's 2 years obsolete,
Yeah,
actually, what
2
the
years
difference is on us.
Yes, yes.
It will also get rid of some labor issues,
Yes.
time, basically, traveling the roads. We can do every other road with this new service. Right now, we only have that program downloaded to one computer, so nobody else can see it. All of us will be able to go up there and check it and see what's going on. We can use a phone and all sorts of things. The upfront cost is going to be like $9,284.25. The data collector is $75,34.25. That's part of that cost. They're waiving the implementation and training fee of $1,667. But we have to pay for the annual year one, which is $1,750. That's where the $92,84.25 comes into place. $9,284.25.
Overall cost?
Overall cost. That's our startup cost for this. That will include all training and everything.
Yes, these will be specific logins. Not everybody can have a login, so, but you can, instead of having, like you said, one system or one computer, you can log in and.
Right now, it's very manual.
Yeah,
It's very manual. Melissa will get a phone call, and she'll have to call Jason or Marcus. Instead, they can go look up at the address and see what's going on right there on the fly, so it's going to be a lot helpful too.
Is everyone in the village on Neptune now?
It's probably, if not the latest and greatest out there, and meter reading that's close to it. Like I said, you can just drive without having to, point their handheld, and it's constantly collecting data. Even on a normal non-read day, it's constantly collecting data.
So our recommendation is hold this.
Just as your best guess, like how many labor hours is this save weekly?
It's probably cut it 7. Well, when Jason reads, Jason does the meter reading, he'll probably cut it less than half. So I'm talking about half, so I'm thinking they might even cut it to a quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be fast. Because it goes from, right now, he has to go every road, every street, every road, back in, and everything, just to get the signal. Now, we might be able to just do the perimeter of the labor, done. Let's go other business.
About 50-75% cut in labor.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, 50 per signal compared to 1 per signal.
Any other questions? What's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve the amount of $9,284 to replace Neptune water meter reading equipment.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we approve purchase of the new meter reading equipment at the cost of $9,284.25. Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Pridmore?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Bellinger? Yes. Trustee Polly?
Yes.
Trustee Hashit?
Yes.
President Gilbert?
Yes. Motion approved. Item C.
Me again. We had sent you a proposal of software for BSA software. At present time, our building department is on a DOS-based platform. It does not communicate to our general ledger, it does not communicate to our cash receipts. This, bringing on this .NET is called, would bring that up to date, would make it a lot easier for checks and balances, and it's the latest and greatest for our building department for right now. My goal is to have this be put in and implemented, and then I was looking at that final inspection that I had sent you, and my recommendation is to go with option 1 of the $7,170 so that we can get our software upgraded, and then work on maybe looking at that field inspection so that our building inspectors and our code enforcement can on the fly look at their stuff on handhelds and stuff like that on the field instead of double entering everything that we do. So my recommendation today is to go ahead with getting .NET at $7,170.
Questions? It's another effort that we're trying to bring our community into the 21st century. Make life a little simpler, easier. More efficient.
Is that the only department that needs updated?
Yes, to get us up in the same platform and everybody else, all the other modules are.
So when we did the SYO equipment upgrade a couple years ago, this computer wasn't included in that? Or?
It's the software and that.
Oh, it's a software.
It's a software.
Yes, and no.
It's a software. It's a difference.
Right now, we generate a lot of paper. We fill a lot of keys. And this should help save it for us, or at least part of us. Plus make things a little smoother, a little easier, a lot more efficient.
How will this interface in the laundry?
It will talk to finally the general ledger. It will talk to the cash machines. Right now, she has to put the payments in the building module and then go ahead and put it in the cash receipts module. So this will eliminate a lot of that stuff. So that's in-house. There's another double entry thing that we'll be doing, so.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve BSA software, so we've got net option 1 in the amount of $7,170.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we approve the purchase of BSNA software at a cost of $7,170. Any questions on the motion?
Just got an additional question. Will code enforcement, you mentioned something about utilizing,
This is part of his, yeah, this is gonna help him out too.
so, okay. Just
First
wanted to
reminder
make
that
that.
net up and running, and then, I don't know how the interface with the final inspection is gonna be. That's the next module I want to try to get, so we go out the field. So this is the one that we have to tie everything in with first, and then we work on getting the final inspection. We don't know how much more we need. There was another module on here called PZ, that's planning and zoning. So, yes, we have planning and zoning, but how much volume do we have to have, you know, its own module and stuff like that. So we want to see what this .NET does for us first before we start finding other modules, 2 other modules. Thank you.
One of the issues, she brought that up, one of the issues that we were having is that when the code enforcement, when he gives someone a citation and they come in to pay it, we don't even know that it exists. They'll come to the window to pay a fine and we don't know that he won a ticket. So this will help us know that, okay, this is a ticket for whatever, you know.
I can interface it with the
Yeah.
receipts, make sure you can see it pop up
So
and see what that
maybe
actually
we've
is.
been blindsided, like, okay, you're paying a fine for what?
Make us current.
And will this software, will it update itself, or will we have to do?
No, it'll update itself, just like, it'll be the same platform like with other business. We get a update first of the month, every month, and people have to update. If nobody updates, it'll tell everybody to update when they can't use the module, so it will always be updated.
Any other questions? Roll, please.
Trustee Pridmore?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee McCollum?
Yes.
Trustee Bellinger?
Yes.
Trustee Hatchett?
Yes.
President Silbert?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item D, sidewalk replacement at Fountain Park. Mr. Oh, there he is.
Good evening. We solicited a bid for the Fountain Park sidewalk replacement. It came to the point that we do need to replace the entire run along Main Street. So our contractor, D&J, provided us with this quote that equates to $25,734.80. And basically, they're going to remove and dispose the entire sidewalk, remove the flower beds, and recreate the sidewalk with the 6-inch or 4-inch, as much as possible, of the curb.
That sidewalk by Fountain Park is in bad shape. It's a hazard. The weight of those flower pots have caused the sidewalk to really shift. It needs, and it's really on property, so we need to make sure that we eliminate any potential liability there. There's very little curb because of the multiple overlays of asphalt on Main Street, so you're not a spot that the curb doesn't exist anymore. So this will recreate the curbing based off the concrete from the corner of Haven Ridge to the first drive of the post office.
$134.80.
And this will be paid for with Act 51 money, major roads.
I'll make a motion to accept the sidewalk replacement from D&J Contracting at Fountain Park for $25,734.80.
Second.
Been moved and supported that we accept this proposal from D&J Contracting to replace the sidewalk near Fountain Park in the amount of $25,734.80. Any questions on the motion?
How many linear feet of sidewalk is that? Is that the 264?
Yes.
Yes. So that's a straight line. Louis. On a few occasions, we have to go inside the park and replace a couple of slabs where the existing sidewalk meets our new sidewalk, so there are some gymnastics going to be done in addition to the total width and frontage.
And how many feet of curb would you guess that?
The same.
The whole length will be-
The whole length will be thickened and properly constructed. $11 a foot, if that's what you're trying to get. It's a little higher than the next proposal, but it's more difficult to deal with given the constraints of that area.
I just want to make a public note also that if they're not able to dump at Ajax, that there is an additional $3.25 on the lineal foot for material.
Of course.
They'll be able to.
We will be able to.
Any other questions?
Is this a contract that we can put out for bid? or-
No, this is D&J. We've had others take a look at this that were higher, but this is D&J. We refer to him as our
Preferred
contractor. He's the one who's doing the catch basins, and his bids have consistently been lower than anyone else's.
And why we're getting a hard time getting people to bid because of the size of the job.
And everybody's busy.
Three contractors, 3 months behind.
Any other questions? Roll, please.
Trustee Bukowski? Yes. Trustee Hatchett?
Yes.
Trustee Foley?
No.
Trustee Bellinger? Yes.
What?
Trustee Piedmont?
Yes.
President Dillard?
Yes.
Thank you. Carol.
Item E. We have another stretch of, we're taking out number 1, 3, and 4. We're not even going to address them because our ordinance does not support what we want to do there.
So we're moving to, I'm sorry, sir.
So we're going to address item 2, which is the sidewalk on Park Street from the bridge to the cemetery entrance. The portion that is wooded zone. And we got our locations address that because it goes down in the condition of the sidewalk.
The other three were taking off and not revisiting.
We are going to revisit when our ordinance supports us. Right now, our ordinance does not support what we want to do. Our ordinance currently does not allow us to do the work and build a residence. Our ordinance only allows us to require the residents to make repairs, but it doesn't give us any, if they don't make repairs, it doesn't give us any other outlet. So we sent some language to the attorneys to see if we can somehow get our ordinance up.
So President Dilbert, do you want to approve all unit price, but award only number 2, or you just want to address number 2 period?
Just number 2 period.
So in the same token, we asked D&J to quote these segments for us, and you can see they're broken up by stretch. So if we're talking only about item 2, it would be the Centennial to Bridge, 142 linear feet for $6,745.
That was 6,000.
6,745.
And then we'll also be paying for out of Active One Money's major roads.
So this second one, is that price based on, because there were actually 4 components to this?
4 components.
Because there were 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
No,
So this number 2,
that's number 2.
I understand that, was the $6,745 based on that they would bring all the volume discount? Correct, there you go.
They are quoting it as one project,
Okay.
but we'll talk to them, and if there is a concern, you know, President Dilbert may have to approve a different amount if they change. If it's minor change, I believe we can do it, but if it's a dramatic change for the unit price, we'll bring it back to council.
So we'll have to bring it back.
But we'll beat them up, try to have them honor their price. We take basically more than 80% of the work. Right?
I was only asked to approve the amount that's been given.
So this project would run about $9.50 a square foot.
Exactly.
Right, that's asking that question.
Yeah, these are pretty cut and dry, removal and replacement.
And all these sidewalks being put back, like say the Clark Street, at the current standard of 5-foot width, and with our
Upper base.
disability curves and whatnot. All right, ADA maps.
I mean, we have to be realistic, it's not going to go up. So that will come across our table.
Sorry.
It's inevitable it's going to go up. I mean, there's a difference between the two. But that being said, will it come across this table if there's an increase?
If there's an increase that's minor, that falls within my scope, it may not. I mean, I'll bring it back at a, later date, but I won't hold the project up if it's a $500 increase or $1,000 increase. The important thing that we must remember that these sidewalks and the condition of them create a liability for the village.
Almost definitely. I don't disagree with that. I'm just wondering if maybe we should just package the two together and see if maybe we can get something.
We have a good relationship with D&J, and I'm sure we'll come out on top.
Do we have a time frame for that?
We told them, in speaking with them, we already approved them for the catch basin tour. So they allocated a block of time for us to do the catch basin tour. So So in discussion with them, we told them that sidewalks are more important than the catch basins right now. So they will be able to shuffle, you know, the crew time and concentrate on the sidewalk. Now, we just reduced that scope a lot, so I think they should be okay.
This month, next one, September.
July, I believe, is what they were saying that they would be able to work on it.
What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve sidewalk replacement, Clark Street from Centennial Cemetery to Bridge in the amount of $6,745.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we approve the sidewalk replacement on Clark Street from the bridge to the cemetery entrance at a cost of $6,745. Any questions on the motion?
When did the attorney tell us that we would be able to move forward with that?
Any other portion?
With the other portions, yeah.
There's some legal things that we really got to work through. I'll have.
There's a legal section on the agenda,
Right.
a couple items ahead. We can address that.
Because maybe we've done more, we would have done that first and then have this discussion. I know that's not your, because we're paying,
We was hoping that the sidewalk ordinance was just a straightforward cut and dry, but it's not that simple.
right. Maybe we could have went back to this contractor though and said, let's rebid this, can you do this, the following weekend, this, and put it together, maybe we can, because I'm pretty confident that was going to go up.
Yeah, I think that's my concern as well, because of the four that were on the table, that's the lowest cost.
Yeah.
So we were
Yeah, it was.
going to be making a sizable profit on the other three, and now we've got,
We'll talk to them, and if it becomes a crazy increase, then we will go through it. You know, we at least need to try to get it done because of the
they're not slating us till July, does, I mean, July meeting?
We will, let's get it approved at the current estimate. And we will have a discussion with Dave. And we'll see where, you know, and if they come back with something that's out of whack, then we'll just put them off until the, and then we'll bring the numbers back to July meeting.
So what would that current dollar per annum be? You know what I mean, like, everybody may have a different opinion of what's on the way.
Well, I can't speak for him because I don't know what he's going to
Right.
say. So I don't know what his new number may be, and he may hold to these numbers right here.
Right.
Yeah. So I would ask that we continue to approve the current amount, the $6,700.
Could we do up to, like, let's say, like, come to an agreement between us where we say if it exceeds that by $700, then it doesn't get done until,
Oh, so you want to put an allowance?
and yeah, basically just say that, like, it doesn't exceed, any overages don't exceed X, Y, Z without seeing the council again. Is that a possibility, or?
Anything's possible. It may not be a reality, but it's a possibility.
You can always amend the proposal to 7,400, well, up to 7,400. Anything exceeding that, the president has discretionary spending up to a certain amount, so up to 500 over. I don't know if you guys have been down to the cemetery lately and seen the sidewalks, but they're in bad shape.
Well, that's, I mean, they need to be replaced, we're all well aware of that. Really, personally, my concern is that had we known this other information first, maybe we could have went to this contractor and said, we're not gonna be able to do these three. So let's take the park and let's take the cemetery. And what would you like for those two?
Yeah, I think if that had been done before the meeting and the time, then maybe it would have been brought forth. But if I made an amendment, can I rescind the amendment? Or amend the amendment, rescind the motion, or amend the motion?
Please, yes,
No,
ma'am.
which one you want me to rescind or amend?
You can amend it.
Okay. Let me amend my motion to approve sidewalk replacement cost Clark from the Centennial Cemetery to the bridge in the amount of $7,500. Up to $7,500. Up to $7,500, okay?
Can I suggest one number? If you go with the 75, I would use the $11 per square foot. That's-
You want me to do math this time?
I'll give you the number.
When you do the math supports is $6,745. But I, you know,
Extra, a little over 28% recognition.
so let's go to that 7,500.
Yes, I did amend my support.
78,
78, exactly.
okay, Trustee Gronkowski, 78.
10. Again, I amend my support.
Any other questions?
I mean, if we're coming up to 75, I mean, we're getting up over $10 a foot.
It's 11. I used the Fountain Park unit price just because we're reducing the other one by 90%.
Didn't we approve a higher amount at the park, out in the park because of all the curbs?
Yes.
Here's another issue. Not an issue, but the Fountain Park was added on. And that's why I'm confident that they're gonna honor their Clark Street price because the Fountain Park was added on. Was not a part of the, was not a part of the original quote for sidewalk replacement. So we've given them this additional $25,000. And that's why I'm confident that they're going to honor their Clark Street price. But I do accept the additional.
And I'm sure our engineer's going to strong arm them to the original price.
Yes,
as
we
possible,
should.
so.
Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Idemore?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee McCauley?
No.
Trustee Bellinger? No. Trustee Hatchett?
Yes.
President Silbert?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item F. Young Mr. Bill.
Good evening once again. We have 3 mowers in operation currently. We have a Bravely that we purchased 2 years ago, and 2 John Deere that we had for 15 years. They've been here since I've been here. They're starting to become money pits. And so I went out and got a couple quotes. I went to look at the other Bravely. It was a little high, you know, $7,300. So I went and looked at Husqvarna, and it was priced at roughly $6,000. And then I went to Ball Equipment and looked at another Husqvarna, and it was $6,400. But they have a fleet deal currently going on where you get a weed whip and a blower with it, which we need. And it takes the cost down to $5,678. So it pretty much beats all the prices. So I'm asking you to get a new mower. We can keep going with our John Deere's. We just got one from AIS repaired and everything kind of good stuff. We're probably going to pay for it anymore and repair it pretty soon. And before we do that, we might as well get a new one. So, 15 is pretty long.
About how much are we spending on repairs?
Our last repair for this, it was, clearly, it was $700. You know, I previous, a fan, you know, $1,000. Because these are, we tried to get the parts and do them ourselves, but we can't. We tried to, we just had to take it down there and then get the parts and labor and those things, and that's where, yeah.
You'll get rid of both of yours?
No, the deers had no, they had no value. We asked them to trade them, they said, you can give them to us if you want. But no, they had no value at all.
The one deer is still running. Was it both running right now?
They're both are running. We just took the one AIS and got it back. And, yeah, they both are there. Definitely dying with. But
We are going to have a joint fire department, DPW yard sale
in August.
August.
Yes.
So we may be able to get some money out of at least one of those mowers.
So like I said, annually, what do you estimate we're spending on just maintenance of the?
Maintenance of the deers annually. It all depends on the fix, so to speak. You know, we've had $1,500 fix, we've had a $500 fix. The other deer, the one that we just didn't get out, the others down there had $2,700 fix because there was some casing with hydraulics.
So we're approaching more in
Yes.
maintenance costs than we are to replace it.
Yes. Yes.
I think 15 years is, we probably got that money for about it.
Trying to keep them going, but down to the point where it's just not gonna happen.
So I question, but will it be more efficient? Probably more.
Oh, yes.
For sure, so that was it. You get 15 years.
I'll try.
I will get
I'll try. You say what? You still have the Dixie? Yeah, that's a garbage. That's been running down for 7 years. It's not replaceable. That's a $7,000.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion in order.
I motion to approve the purchase of the Husqvarna MZ T52 football equipment for the cost of $56.78. It's going to include the weed whip and the blower. Good price.
support.
Probably moved and supported that we purchase this new mower from Ball Equipment at a cost of $5,678.78, which includes a weed whip and a blower. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Datchett?
Yep.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Malinger? Yes. Trustee Whitmore?
Yep.
President Gilbert?
Yes. Motion carried.
All right.
You got this.
Last time you don't see.
Oh, so you don't want the F-350 on the agenda? So you don't want to talk about the project?
No, I want to because almost got ratchet. Our current Dodge 2007 Dodge Ram, twice used. We bought it used years ago. That's coming to us. Yeah, but we put on a ratchet and it wouldn't go past 30 miles per hour, and we almost got cement. We had to pull up to put our flashers on and just kind of get it home. And some days, on good days, it might get up to 55 and we can go down ratchet, or other days we just try to get somewhere safe. So I took it to the Ford dealership because we had F-250s last time and got asked them if they would take a trade value for us, and they're willing to give us $3,500 plus. And then I had them give us a quote on a new F-350, and they gave us a quote, and they're giving us $7,900 in credits, and and 3,500 trading value in the truck. And the total, and this is with a plow kit and everything for this truck. So this comes with a plow, so it's ready, it's road ready, the plow snow and everything. The total is $35,774.36 for the truck, and this could be paid, it should be able to be paid out of at 51 months.
Well, I asked the dean come over there, you know, and so she said that we will charge this vehicle off 3 departments. Act 51 will pay a third, the water department will pay a third, and the highway improvement fund will pay a third.
Discounts are better, versus yours. Yeah.
Now, what trucks do we have that are operational?
The 2 new ones that we got a few years ago, so after this, I won't be getting the truck. This is the last one that we kept around. This should be good. Well, that's fine. No, we gotta have another with being enough, the dump. So so this is complete this week. We're done with the truck.
Mr. Pleasure.
Just a quick, Act 51, highway improvement, what was the third department name?
Water.
Water.
What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to purchase the 2019 F-350 truck with plow for a total of $35,774.36. It's trading in the previous, what model was that?
2007 Dodge Ram.
2007 Dodge Ram. You mentioned it comes with the plow.
Second.
It's been properly moved and supported that we approve the purchase of the 2019 F-350 truck with plow for a total of $35,774.36. To be paid for,
Sorry, my daughter's medicine.
to be paid for from Act 51 monies, the water department, and the highway improvement fund. Equally. Any questions on the motion?
This brings our fleet of vehicles to how many?
We will have an F-250, this F-350, then we'll have our dump truck.
The one-ton truck.
1 ton like that.
And this one will be able to do snow too, right?
Excuse me?
This will be able to do snow removal?
Yes, exactly.
It'd be perfect for going through the core park and don't put your car up the street. Oh, I didn't say that.
Don't look at me.
I wasn't looking at you, Mr. Gray. Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee McCoy?
Yes.
Trustee Ballinger? Yes. Trustee Pridmore?
Yes.
Trustee Datchett?
Yep.
President Zeller?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
H. He's good markers, I don't know which one is.
Well, I'm
Trying to send the motion there.
we're going broke here.
Our IT contractor is SYO Computer Engineering Services. They are wanting to extend their contract to September 30th, 2022, the amount of $690 per month. Right at this time, we pay $675, so this would be a $15 increase per month, which is only $180 a month. I mean, a year, sorry. We're very happy with it, and I recommend that we go ahead and approve this.
What's the total amount?
$690 a month. I think that's like the total amount.
2022.
September 30th, 2022. They take care of our server, our hardware, and we can call them on a dime when they fix stuff, so very happy with them.
This is just an extension of the one we did 2 years ago, and that's the only change of the $690 a month, or $675. How have they been service-wise?
Very well. I can call them, we'll call them right back, and take care of their issues, or they come out, or, yeah, no issues at all.
Price is locked in for 3 years.
Yes. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to extend the SYO network support contract extension through September of 2022 in the amount of $690 per month. It's a $15 a month increase.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we extend the SYO support contract in September of 2022 in the amount of $690 per month. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Jankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Hatchett?
Yes.
Trustee Feinborn?
Yep.
Trustee Bellinger?
Yes.
President Zeller?
Yes. Motion carried. Welcome sign. I had asked Mrs. Kazel to do some checking and make some phone calls to see what it would cost to take the sign at Gratiot to the main and put a marquee on it. And I think there's someone here from Phillips Sign.
My name is Rebecca Godin. Bill Stewart is not with our company anymore, so I'm going to be taking over the project. And I understand that you guys have some art renderings.
Yes, they have the proposal.
So I also made some copies of what it would look like with copy on there as well for everybody. I have 6 copies, so we can have to share. But the last page has what it would look like with copy on the sign. Thank you. So I understand there's some questions. I also brought a couple of the modules so that you could see what they look like up close and personal for the different millimeters. So I can pass these around once we get into that conversation.
One of the questions that I had was, I thought there was a pretty significant difference in price from one pitch, so 10 millimeter pitch to,
The 16.
yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yep, so basically, just so I can show you why, this is a 16 millimeter. So the millimeter is determined by the measurement between the pixels. So when you condense them, it's just like a photograph, you're making the pictures crisper by pushing all these together. So you're actually adding more. So this is a 10 millimeter versus a 16 millimeter. You can see how many more LEDs are on forward compared to each other. This is a 10 millimeter, and these LEDs actually have all the colors in them to get essentially 1.8 quadrillion colors. So these have red, blue, and green in there that make all the colors that you need. So that's why the difference in price, because you're adding so many more when you bring them all together.
Now, when I pull up to the intersection of Main and Gratiot, how much difference that's gonna make when I'm trying to read?
It's a crisper picture, and we can actually, when you guys are ready to look at them, we can actually have a truck come out here that will have the different pixels on there so you can see how close and personal. Or it can send you a database with signs that are out in the field that we've done that will show you what that looks like as well. So it's basically just a crisper picture. But I think you might be using it, I'm not sure if you're going to be using it more for pictures or messages. Yeah. So that last sheet of paper will show you what the messages capability are. We definitely aren't recommending that you do the top one. It's just showing you that you can get 11 lines of 3-inch copy. You wouldn't want to go any smaller than the word village, which I believe that is 4-inch. Yeah, it's 4-inch letters. So you want to go at least 4-inch tall or larger to be able to read that and not have to be like, what did it say?
More accidents.
That's way too, yes. We're definitely not recommending the top one. That was just to show you how many lines of copy you can get on there.
Yes.
But it is a crisper picture, and it's hard to simulate it exactly on artwork, but you can see on the 10 millimeters, it's a crisper looking flag than the 16 millimeter. Either way, it's full color, but.
Do we have the computer requirements for this?
You should, as long as you don't have like ancient computers.
No, we don't have any.
Yeah, you should. And the next thing is it's wireless, so you don't have to have a radio. It's basically, you could log in from your home and program it as well. It's all wireless.
So the cost of the 16, the 22,000 I'm looking at, and add 78 for the 10?
Yes. And this also includes 3 hours of training with whomever will be doing the programming of it. We recommend 2 to 3 people for that.
I don't have a total for the 16. I don't have a cost for the 16.
Should be on the second page of the contract.
Says $19,057 for the cost, $3,300-ish for installation.
That's for the 16?
Yes.
No, that's okay, about 3 times the, yeah.
Well, it would be the 10 added to that. The 7,847 added to 22 to get the 10, if you wanted to go with the 10. So it'd be essentially like 31,000 if you wanted to go with the 10 millimeter.
She's saying the 22 is the less resolution that it's for.
No.
It's a add-on.
Like I said, I asked Kenny to make some contacts so we can have this discussion. You know, we probably should give this some thought when we approved that original sign out there. That it should have been a marquee, it should have been a
how it's just that, what kind of maintenance?
What kind of maintenance?
Yeah, you exercise.
Basically, we suggest that you get it cleaned yearly just for spiders, dust, things like that. Checking on the fans. There are cooling fans that blow to make sure that everything doesn't overheat. Those will need to be replaced. There is a warranty. We do 5 years on construction and workmanship and 1 year on lighting and electrical components. But as far as warranty, that would be the only thing. The nice thing is that they're individual boards, so if one of them goes out, you replace the board, not the whole unit. They're interchangeable.
And then it says that 5 years of service are included, and then after that it's billed independently. Do we know what that cost is after the 5 years?
Yes, there is, you can actually, if you wanted to, increase that to lifetime, which is based on 15 years. We just include the 5 years. Because it's basically your phone has, or I'm sorry, your sign has its own phone number. So you're paying for a Verizon phone number, is basically what that is. So 5-year package essentially is $750 per year. If you were to upgrade it to a lifetime, which is based on 15 years, it's $1,480. So it would be the difference between those. If you wanted to upgrade it to a lifetime, then you would not have a yearly bill for Watchfire for your phone number per se. It's kind of
I'm going to suggest that we table this. I'm not ready to bring this forward. It's a lot of money, and I think we need to give some thought to it. I think it's a good idea, but we need to make sure that it's the right way to spend it. Please underscore for the next few weeks, or between the next, for the next council meeting, give some thought to it. And, I'd be more than willing to continue this conversation, but right now, I think it's not a bad time. It is a bad time.
That cleaning, is that something that we do, or you come out?
We would do it.
And that's included in that service contract?
No.
And how much is that one?
We charge $85 an hour for the cleaning.
It's an hour, 5 hours?
I believe it's about 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. And yearly for that.
Okay.
Because the spiders get in there and clog up the fans. And
Okay.
things, and, yeah. And some, you guys get fish fry too?
Thank you for the information. Are there any other questions?
If there are, something you call the office. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Item J. With item J, we have a situation. Well, we opened the bid yesterday for the Ann, North Bradford, Marla, Litchfield. We had 2 bidders. I'm going to ask that the mayor not mention the bidders. And what's going on here is because of the grant that we received, we cannot award a bid yet until we get the official documentation for the grant. If we award the bid tonight, we forfeit our grant. It's unfortunate. The specs have been put together, the RFP has been posted, and then we were notified that we received the grant. So we are in a holding pattern. In talking with MDOT yesterday, we had a conversation with NDOT yesterday, and they don't expect that we will get all our official confirmation information until sometime in July.
Yeah, the official letter said October 1st.
I'm sorry.
The official letter for the grant said October 1st.
We will get an official letter prior to that, but because the grant we received was for fiscal year 2020, they don't want us to start any work prior to October 1. So effectively, these 4 streets are probably not going to happen until next spring.
We haven't talked to the contractors yet. We don't know if they're going to honor their bids. The bid bond is good for 30 days. That's it. So we may have to re-advertise if council wishes to wait.
So we wait, which we probably will. We just start the bidding process over again, right?
Yes.
That's right.
It's a substantial grant amount that we cannot just say,
You know, I mean, it's a good bad situation. Good situation that we got the grant, the timing. We were hoping that we would qualify for the 2019 fiscal year, which was awarded in May, and their work can start July 1. But we were part of the 2020.
Are there any road hazards on Ann, Bradford, Marlboro, or Midfield that we could just address a cold patching until then?
I think probably the worst one has been North Bradford, and I think the guys have been trying to stay on top of North Bradford with the construction traffic and whatnot. I saw some cold patching out there. I drove in there 2 weeks back.
So we're good until next year.
So, you know, so they are going to try to stay on top of that, and hopefully we'll make it through another cold season. And the other streets, Marla and Midfield, because they're not feeder roads, they're just side roads, you know, so the speed limit is only a slow roll anyway, so they should be able to guide whatever.
The end shores.
Yeah.
So we're looking to probably reopen up the bidding process next January, February-ish for the next construction season.
yeah, we're probably going to, maybe end of February, March time, just for them to have a better feeling of what the actual prices will do. Because that's always the challenge in the next year, that they don't know until the plant's open. But if we push it not too far, but just for the contractors to have enough, or be comfortable to bid these prices, it would be March time. I would recommend that. Just like what we did with Clark. A really good bid. We beat everybody. We got a good product. It's a shame that we can't do anything this year.
Yeah, like the timing of this doesn't, and hopefully the contractor will understand our position, that we can't just forfeit this grant to, you know, just because.
So the action you're looking for now is to table this as a whole?
No action.
No action?
President, would you like me to communicate with the
I would like
contractor?
you to just communicate with them a little better.
Okay.
And it is what it is.
I'll communicate and report back. Thank you.
Adam K., Housing Commission resignation. He received a letter of resignation from the Housing Commission Chair, President. While she's still an area resident, she just recently moved outside the village limits. And I would ask that we accept her letter of resignation.
Make a
motion to accept the resignation letter from Stacy Shell from the Housing Commission.
Been probably moved and supported that we accept the letter of resignation from Stacy Shell from the Haven Housing Commission. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. The MDOT grant, I just spoke on the MDOT grant. While we were awarded the $250,000, there's a process. There's an official notification letter that we must receive. There's a meeting that will be held in July with their grant coordinator that will spell out specifically the steps that we must take to receive the grant and move forward. But to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised. We were the only community in Macomb County to receive a grant from fiscal year 19 or 20. Sorry.
None from Oakland over.
Yeah. And this grant was geared specifically toward cities and villages of populations of 10,000 or less. So, we were fortunate. But, like I said, the timing, we were hoping to be a part of the 2019, but we weren't. We were part of the 2000. Item M, Mrs. Berger.
You calling me?
Yes, I am. It's your time to shine.
Thank you. I hope somebody has gotten some answers.
Please identify yourself.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, bring that down and let the clerk
Yeah,
know.
let me hear anybody. Christine.
Give your name.
Christine Berger, B-E-R-G-E-R. Resident of the village. And by the way, I picked this up. It's wonderful. I saw this in the office, and you should be able to say everybody. I mean, it's great. Who came up with this?
It's part of our new welcome package.
It's wonderful. Wonderful. I saw it on the cover and asked for one. It's packed with information. Whoever put this together, good job. Oh my gosh. As I gave heads up last month, the I brought actual, real, original bills. 3 months billing. This was 1/3 to 4/2 of 2013. For the same residence where I'm living now. $81.64. That was a high, because normally they were $64.68 for 3 months. My last bill, and it's been, I looked through, it's been pretty consistent, $83.65 for 1 month. 1 month. And I got one, well, I paid it on 12/20/2017, just before Christmas. And I put on my check, paid under protest. It was for $129.65 for the same month. The only month that I remember it was that high, but there seems to be no explanation. I'm looking for an explanation. Are we paying off our debt 3 times as fast? Where's the money going? Is everybody on the books now? Because it was in the paper 2 years ago that not everybody was even on the books, and including some businesses. I want to know if that's all been straightened out, and where's the money, and why so much?
Well, it's like $50 extra a month,
Did anybody have an answer for that? Or anybody look into it?
Ask one question at a time, and I'll try to answer.
Why are my water bills so high?
Okay, that part I can't answer because I don't live in your house.
Are they friends?
How many units are you using?
I have a hard time hearing. Nobody seems to speak into the mic.
I don't know what's going on within your home, so I can't answer to the amount.
That is, I was living by myself when this changed from quarterly to monthly. Okay? 4 times a year to 12 times a year. You're collecting the money.
Yeah.
My question has been, and it's pretty consistent, why have the bills tripled? I'm paying 1 month, but I used to pay for 3 months. This is when I was the only person living in the house, okay?
You're paying for,
And we're paying for the same amount that was going towards a debt. We're paying that 3 times as fast, I'm assuming.
no, you're not.
You're not. Where's the money going? Why?
The debt has been set at $33.16. When the debt was set back in April of 2014, that's what it was paying out of.
You have to have a 13 bill.
There was no debt on the 13 bill.
I have a save, 3 months. Oh, yeah, it's changed for sure. The sewer debt and the water debt. The water debt was $35.
Now it's $11. $11 and 60 cents. So that 35 was.
Well, now, actually, the sewer debt, water debt, I'm sorry, WD, yeah, 1166. But we're paying that every month. We were paying it every 3 months, so it comes out to pretty much.
The same amount. You were paying 35 every 3 months, now you're paying $11 per month.
On the water debt, that's correct. I was like, and I did come up here and ask, readiness to serve. I mean, I got a huge laugh out of that one. Everyone seems to be doing it. Now that, from what I just heard, the water meters, is that going to cut down on our readiness to serve price?
No, because readiness to serve is used to fund the purchase of replacement meters. It will pay for this new meter reading device. It pays for a lot of equipment that goes into the water department.
I mean, it's a small amount, but
It's what, $2.60?
well, it's, $3.43.
Okay.
Which is, and that one is in line with, the revenues to serve. It was $10.30 for 3 months, so that's pretty much in line. The $33.16 that we're paying,
Sewer debt?
I'm thrilled that we got new pipes a couple years ago, because when Detroit's were busted all over the place, Harrisburg, we didn't have a busted pipe that I knew about. Did we?
No.
Thank you for that, that's great. Again, more than triple. Water. Is everybody paying more than triple?
I think when we look back prior to all the debt being added to the bills, I don't know if we're paying triple, but we're probably paying double minimum.
And why?
But
The cost of debt has never been lower in 20 years. Why are we paying more on our debt? That makes no sense to me. Fiscally.
none of those debts existed 20 years ago.
I beg your pardon?
None of those debts existed 20 years ago.
Do you understand my question? that our debt, we seem to be paying our debt down pretty fast. We're paying it 3 times as fast as we used to. It's the bigger debt, okay. Well, yeah, we used to pay it 4 times a year. Now we're paying it monthly. That's faster. I'll tell you, if you pay it, it's a huge difference in.
Ma'am, the sewer debt did not exist when the bills were quarterly. The sewer debt was added when the bills transitioned to monthly. Okay, and so we're not paying it faster. Even though we're paying it every month, that's when the sewer debt actually came into play. And that's one of the reasons that we went to monthly, was because of that sewer debt. Because they thought that people couldn't afford it if it was like $99 instead of just $33.
Wait, what? What?
So he's saying it was horrible, that it would be $99. Too much.
We are all paying it.
And then my other thing that I had mentioned is that this municipal building, we were sold that we were going to have a rent to own, okay? This is what we were told as citizens. And has that debt ever been rectified? Do we know what we're doing anymore? Are we just renting forever?
We are, this board has had a discussion over the last few months, trying to formulate a game plan, but currently we are just renting.
Did we have an attorney at the time? Was anything, Lord above, I can't even
I'm
imagine.
sure we did have an attorney. It's my understanding that the attorney at the time when this lease was signed is non-deceased.
Escape at last, yeah. Anyway, if there's anything that you would like us as citizens to do to help, because it's just, to me, impossible, but we are renting this place.
There's no one sitting around this table that's happy about that.
I was told years ago by an attorney, there is no contract that can't be broken. And we need a good attorney to look into it. Probably 3 years, but anyway. Really? We need to renegotiate.
We've tried.
I'm sure. We don't have any weight.
We don't. We really don't.
It's for another day, because I think we've been disenfranchised here when the voting moved to Lennox Township. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Adams. We talked about it was mentioned earlier about the sign ordinance. There's still some work, Mr. Von Helsen. I know you're going to talk about that on the plan. But the sign ordinance has been put on hold until we do the PUD update or?
Well, part of it's being held because we're reviewing temporary signs right now. We did get some information yesterday. So the committee will have to review that next month.
What's our proposed, estimate as far as time frame?
We have to wait for, I assume next month we'll have a discussion about that, about the temporary signs. I'm getting some cues from the chair of the committee right now. And also the PUDs have to be reviewed on hold. We're still waiting for some more information on that from the committee, unless everyone wants to move forward and public vote and publicize all the other ordinances.
How important is the PUD portion of that ordinance as far as the sign ordinance is concerned?
Question. If this council is willing to hold that portion out, we can publish everything else once it's approved.
I think we need to move forward request that the plan commission present their proposal on the sign ordinance, because right now we're in limbo as to enforcement. PUD enforcement can always be completed at a later date.
But we were following instruction from council, it all wanted to be published at one time, so I will bring that information back, but I'll let everyone know that right away.
Does council agree with my statement? Because like I said, I think we're in a kind of a slippery slope. There's sign ordinances that are on the books that are in conflict with each other. So we need to get an updated version of the sign ordinance so that our code enforcement can go out and enforce. You know, you see that signs are stapled and tacked everywhere, and I know East Bend and the DPW have been removing signs from utility poles, and it's an ongoing issue. I think the PUD portion of that is a whole separate topic.
I agree with you, but the discussion was the expense of, so council is willing to take on the second expense of publishing. We know that
This is
board.
approval of the ordinance and publishing two separate actions.
They are, but you can
Well,
guide us about the publishing.
Yeah, it has to be published before it can become effective. So to approve it yet not publish it is kind of a meaningless
Oh, I
gesture.
thought you meant e-code.
No, you have to
There's
publish
a
it.
public notice.
I'm sorry.
Right, correct. I just want to make sure I was saying.
You have to publish it in order for it to be effective. In other words, just passing the ordinance doesn't do anything without publication of that ordinance, and that's the issue.
So if you bring the ordinance next month for council review, we can always amend it with the PUD information later. Ordinances are always being amended and changed.
Correct.
So we
Well,
can
you have to publish it for what, 30 days? Or it has to be, it goes into effect 30 days after publication?
After publication.
Correct.
Now with the amendment also has to be published.
Yes.
If it's amended, yes.
I believe that's what the issue was last time. We didn't want to publish 10 times. We wanted to publish one time. But if it's taking this long, I do think that
I think we need to move forward with the sign ordinance.
So I will let the committee know right away. We have some information for the temporary signs, and we'll meet in July and move forward. And we can get that to council then that following week. We can't because our planning meeting is the night before our council meeting. So that's a little close. Yeah, so we can August.
Okay, so, either this time frame, we're probably back into August, September already. Yeah, so.
So we're getting closer though.
Okay. The sidewalk ordinance. You can share some.
Sure. We were given an email to look at the sidewalk ordinance, and frankly, it kind of opened a Pandora's box. And there were some requests from Ms. Parcell, some questions asked, and when I started looking at it, by the way, I think I introduced myself to President Gilbert. I'm Dan Goulet. I am with the firm Michigan Justice with Lattice, who unfortunately couldn't be here this evening. But again, he's starting to look at the sign ordinance, and part of the issue is you do have an ordinance that is enforceable. But it's also fraught with pitfalls that are going to invite a lot of lawsuits in our estimation. Should I get into the local code issue?
Yeah.
Here's the issue. The village years ago adopted a code called BOCA, which I forget what the acronym stands for because in my old age all these acronyms get mixed up in my brain. But the bottom line is it really hasn't been effective for 20 years. I think its last update was 1999. Everybody's pretty much gone to this IBC, the International Building Codes. The sidewalk ordinances that you see that are written by other municipalities contain specifics as to how thick concrete needs to be, what sort of concrete, precisely how people are notified that they may be subjected to a special assessment district, what the particular protests are available to those people, what happened if more than 50% object, these kinds of things. All of that is not addressed in your ordinance. It says in the ordinance that there are necessarily some specifications for the types of sidewalks on file in the village. When I look, I can find those specifications. Something that either I cannot find or is not very easy to find. I don't know if somebody in building could help us with that, or if they can contradict what I'm saying with more information that I have available to me in the short notice that we had to look. It's a quagmire. And right now what would happen is we would not have standardized sidewalks in the village even if we started changing the sidewalks in the village, because of the lack of adoption of some kind of standardized, acceptable engineering, what sorts of kinds, how thick the concrete needs to be, how wide they need to be, how the grade needs to be, whether they need to be to allow water draw. All these things are not there. And these are all things that need to be considered, not only for the life of the sidewalk, but for whomever it is that needs to install those sidewalks. And I don't know if somebody from building here can, know. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's a Pandora's box. The code I was looking at had been updated over the years, but it essentially goes back to the 1970s. It's quite the undertaking. And I think what we first need to do is get with building, and I don't know how far we want to move on this FOCA versus IBC issue. It involves virtually every zoning and building ordinance in the code.
And we'll have to have that discussion with our building department. So Ned.
Yes, sir.
You had put together some standards last year for sidewalk construction.
Yes.
Are they here somewhere, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't find them. Are they not online anyway?
They're not.
Okay.
They're not part of the ordinance. They're detailed standards, and we put them together for the sidewalk program specifically.
Okay.
So the details about the thickness, the slope, material.
That's all here on file?
Not part of the ordinance.
Okay. It's incorporated into the ordinance that the village possess those and are available for public inspection. But it really should not be directly in the ordinance.
It's not part of the ordinance.
It's not.
No.
We lack those details, that's why we put them together for suggested standards.
And are those based on the IBC or do you know?
MDOT, Road Commission, current
Yeah, well,
standards.
that I presume they have done properly, you know, as long as it's being taken from the MDOT.
If you could forward those, so that when we start to write a new ordinance or start putting together the information, then we have those standards available.
For sure.
Because that really should be incorporated in it. What we would want to do is anybody that needed to look could look.
Yeah, typically we would create a standard sheets or standard details, and the ordinance will reference these details because as industry develop, those standards change.
Correct. And that's part of the problem. On the current one, it does say in the section 450.15 that all sidewalks shall be constructed in conformity with specifications adopted by council resolution and on file with the village clerk. Such specifications shall be available for public inspection. Were those approved by the board, or you just have them? Again, there's a lot of holes here. Again, it was a seemingly straightforward email. When I first looked at it, I thought, well, this is simple. Answer a couple of questions, but when you get looking at the actual ordinance being asked about, it becomes quite complex.
So our sidewalk ordinance needs a major overhaul?
That is my legal opinion, yes, it does.
And it's currently based off of standards from the 70s?
Well, essentially, yes. The VOCA code section that I'm referring to, the village adopted the VOCA code by reference in many of its building ordinances and specifics. And Boca is hopelessly outdated. I mean, nobody really uses it. When was the last time it was updated? Like 99, I believe. It's been 20 years. I'm not going to guarantee that timing, but it's at least 20 years old.
That's why each community, they rely on, MDOT and Brook Mission and the engineering consultant to put these standards together, and municipalities will adopt them.
But anything you would
Set
have
the
current,
standards.
I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. I'm sorry. I was interrupting you, I didn't mean
Go
to.
ahead.
The Boca codes are nowhere near what would be current with MDOT and everything is given you
Correct.
now.
can't rely
That's where part of the issue is. I mean, I'm sure whatever is in Boca is miles behind that. They wouldn't even have the proper slopes for the handicap or anything like that they are now required.
Okay, well, that's, we're going to continue to work to put together ordinance that we could defend, and let's have Clive look at it. We got to be able to defend it.
Well, if you're going forward with it, we might as well do it the correct way.
Yes, the detail that we put together is specifically address the construction part. As far as regulations, that's what this ordinance can address.
Correct.
But the construction needs to be a part of the ordinance, or it needs to be referred to in the ordinance. So
Correct.
when someone does walk and build a sidewalk, they know that they're building it to our standards.
Correct. I'll make that available.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything else on the sidewalk you want to address?
Not really. Like I could point out all the deficiencies, but let's just say it's deficient. Let it go at that.
But item C, the village manager ordinance 360 rewrite. Mr. Addis is working on this.
Table to the next one.
I'm sorry.
Table to the next one.
Okay. Let's stay with it. If we have no objection, we'll stay with it. Payment of bills.
I move that we pay the bills in the amount of $153,080.62.
Support.
It's properly moved and supported that we pay the bills in the amount of $153,080.62. Any questions on the motion? I would expect that someone is just as eager to pay the bills next month when that dollar amount will be much. Let's see the bill. I just had to throw that in. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Bauer?
Yes.
Trustee Bellinger?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
President Gilbert?
Yes. Treasury report.
Total village cash assets, $3,383,206.78.
Motion to receive and file the treasurer's report.
Second.
Been moved and supported that we receive and file the treasury report. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? First item, he wants, for July 9th meeting, agenda items by June 30th. Unfinished business, the village to city committee, Mr. Coley.
So last month we had our presentation by the MML, gave us a lot of information on the process of becoming or transitioning from a village to a city. We're going to have another meeting June 26th at 7 p.m. And basically what we want to do at that meeting is we want to eventually reach out to other communities that have done the process and get a baseline set of questions to ask them so that we can compare what they did to what if we were to do it too. So that would be the agenda for that meeting.
We'll post that on the website.
What was the name of that?
June 26th at 7.
Any questions on, for Mr. Popoli? Item B, the RFP for the 47 acres. I received no suggestions as to what was being included in the RFP. Therefore, no RFP has been created.
I apologize, I didn't know that direction given, so you're,
It was the event,
okay,
very
then I
clearly.
misunderstood.
2 weeks, I said, wait for 2 weeks, and I received nothing, so nothing was done. Item C, the 150th celebration.
Good evening, everybody. Genevieve Rodzik. I'm here, Brian, obviously could not make it tonight, so I am presenting for our final funding for the 150th. If you have any questions as I go along, feel free. So, I'm not sure where everyone knows, we've been working for about 8 months or so on establishing it, trying to make it well-rounded for all people in the community. Our total expenditures so far are $45,825. Now with that, we have received donations, which would work against those expenditures. In addition, some of those expenditures are recoupable in a sense like souvenirs and stuff like that, so we return some revenue back that way. We have paid $6,150 out thus far in security deposits. So what we are asking for going forward, and I'll say this, is $50,000 approval, not including though the application of all of the credits that we receive. So that does not include our donations, our pending donations, our revenues, and our security deposits. Ballparking this just because I do anticipate 2 more good faith donations. One is coming from Lennox Township and the other is coming from one of our people here. That will give us another $10,000 in donations. So we're going to be looking at probably half being covered in donations as an estimate. So asking for approval of up to $50,000, knowing that we've already we have acquired already 13,000 of that in donations, paid out 61, and we will additionally be expecting that $10,000, roughly $25,000. Anybody have any questions?
Wasn't this brought up before, or was it just discussion? I remember.
When we initially approached the village, we did have some suggestions. We did say around 25,000. Some of the suggestions we did have at the time, Parks and Rec rollover money. I don't know, so I don't believe that would have really followed up on, but Parks and Rec has had excesses over the last 2 years since we did approach. So on average, it works out to be about $5 per resident.
I thought we did approve an amount though already, that we already had expensed out to Brian last month.
the month before.
The approval that Brian did to make deposits, for deposits, yes.
So that was the 61.
You know what, I'm very sorry because I'm not, this is kind of last minute for me, so
Up
I'm
to
not
10,000.
sure on that.
We gave it up to 10,000 before. So are we asking for 50,000 in addition, or, okay.
Thank you, sorry.
That's where I'm a little confused, because the numbers aren't, yeah.
I understood that when Brian asked this the last time, it was because you needed to give the deposits.
Correct.
But donations would be given that would be covering that.
There's a shortage, I think, is the problem.
Right.
So, committed to I'm making an assumption you are, but you're committed to everything. Is there anything that can be?
We've reviewed it in seeing as the donations came in that they were less than anticipated. Where we put our security deposits, full of anything. I mean, that we've had considered, dropping Friday night. We'd already put in almost, the security deposits of Friday night. That Friday night wasn't a big hit. The bigger hit is the Saturday. And if we take anything out, we're taking out, it's well-rounded in a sense of, there's something for little kids, something for teens, and something for adults. To take any aspect of it out, it would be difficult. I had, additionally, one thing that I had discussed and I still anticipate doing is we had asked or suggested a community plaque. The plaque would be $100 per community member. That would go through the sponsorship. If 100 people, which a lot of people have expressed interest in this, like a commemorative 150th plaque and this donation, I'd be guessing, but with 100 people, that would be a $10,000. Similar to the bridge program that they had down.
And just for the record, this money will be coming from Parks and Rec.
I cannot.
Parks and Rec won't,
They only have.
Parks and Rec won't cover this whole amount.
They will cover that one.
No. Parks and Rec is only $20,000.
The last accounting that Brian Meissen sent showed a grand total of $43,385. So is that?
I have 45,825. That did not take into consideration signs, and he was also, we were anticipating being a 10% buffer for unexpected expenditures. So we rounded up to 50.
And the 45 does not take into account
Signs?
the donations.
Correct.
So, I guess my confusion is why the $50,000 number is there instead of proposing the actual figure that's cost minus donations less what we've already authorized, which is the $10,000. Because realistically, we're not looking at a $50,000 authorization, we're looking at a $13,885 authorization.
Incorrect. It's actually going to be closer to 25.
But we've already authorized.
Oh, the
10,000.
10, I see what you're saying, yeah. So it would be 15 then with the 10.
So you're saying up to, but realistically, in my opinion, the way it's worded, if we authorize 50,000 plus the 10, plus you've got 23 in donations,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for a party.
Yeah.
Again, the message that was delivered that the money we approved before was for deposits that was going to be recouped by the donations. So
I think that there was that discussion that we were going to potentially have a shortfall on donations because we discussed with Addis that if they weren't recouped, that it was certainly within our legal boundaries to pay for it. I take issue with a $50,000 number. I really think the number that we're approving should be the amount after the donations are taken into account. So with a maximum of 15 versus 50.
The numbers I'm looking at, the request should be more in the neighborhood of 22,000, because I'm looking at $22,825.
We, the numbers that I'm looking, are you looking at the number of the 45,825?
Yeah, because I see cost by information at 23,325.
We have 23,885 at cost minus donations.
That's what I have as well.
Yeah.
The 22,825?
We have 23,885 being the cost minus donations. That's the last provided from Brian, email.
You have them up in the packet?
That's
That did not include.
It's updated, it came as a secondary email, I believe, after the original packet.
That number does not, that's a solid hard number on what we have obligated ourselves to. That does not include the signs, which would be necessary for promotion. It does not include any current promotion or anything as far as advertising. It also did not include that 10% buffer.
So adding those things in, but you don't have a hard number on signs.
No, we do not.
Okay, so if you added in that 10% buffer and a few other things, you're still only in that 25.
It's in the 25 zone.
Yeah,
You want our number?
you know, because that 50 just,
So with the 13,000, we've already acquired in donations. Is that correct, Sandy? 13,000 we've acquired. We strongly anticipate the second 10,000 to be coming from Lennox and from one of our professionals for that, which would bring us down to $27,000 based on the $50,000 number. That does not include, like I said, any revenue that we would get from our like shirts and stuff like that. I mean, we're not looking to make a profit on the shirts and stuff like that, but it will recoup costs that are incurred on those solid numbers.
And you said your number of revenue is 13, because this says 12.
We received 2 additional donations in the meantime. We have a, I don't know if you have it, there's a SMART donation for 500 and a Townhouse donation. Do you have them?
SMART and I don't have.
I think a more realistic number is at 25 and not 50. 50 is.
I agree. I mean, I just took it the way Brian kind of intended on presenting it was.
Unfortunately, he can't be here tonight.
Right. So his verbiage for everybody who's listening is 150 Celebration Committee is requesting the Village Council to approve spending up to the amount of this amount, which was $45,825 that we discussed today. That did not include that buffer or the signs. It does not account for, and his exclusions for sponsorships, donations, souvenir sales, etc. Any revenue.
Quick question.
Sure.
The biggest expense on his spreadsheet, $12,000 for bounce houses and a foam pit?
The 12,000 that, I will say I hadn't had a chance since I've seen this to speak to Sandy. The bounce houses and apparatuses, the 9640, actually that, I don't know that that number is correct. My last conversation with that contract was 7,500. So that brings that down. The $5,000 was something that we acquired for, it's a teen zone. And basically, it's a whole stage and DJ. It's totally just for teens and, you know.
So it's not a foam pit?
No. It's like, it's a DJ would be a separate stage. We were trying to find something for all ages. So this would be geared towards, like, obviously the little kids on the bounce houses. The bigger kids can do this DJ type thing. And they do like color foam spraying, they spray kids and stuff.
So brass tacks, what are we looking at for tonight?
If you want it worded, I would say 27,000, just to keep the numbers round. That's anticipating, that's utilizing the $13,000 we currently have in donations and the $10,000 that we strongly anticipate.
But then, since we've already authorized 10,000, it really should be 17.
You know what, too, we've already, deposits was 6,150, so we could, that would be correct, right, Sandy? Take that down another 6,150?
Correct, we did another deposit for $25, so $6,150 is the deposit that we made. So we're at, out of the 10 grand, we have 3,850 left.
Okay. Do you want to use that whole $10,000 just to keep it?
Well, we've already made the motion to approve that 10,000.
Okay, so it would be then 17,000, correct? Okay.
So the official request is,
For 17,000, if you'd like it worded that way.
Is that what you think?
It's up to you.
and this, as I stated before, this will be taken from the Parks and Rec budget. Primarily because typically the Parks and Rec does not expend too much. Unfortunately, they don't. I'm still hoping for that day that they will.
So Parks and Rec has enough to cover the 17,
Yeah.
not 50.
No.
Okay, okay.
I've always been hoping that that any out of pocket would be covered by the Parks and Rec, and that's it. It's already part of the budget.
Not that we can go back, but, rollover from Parks and Rec over the last 3 years has probably been about $25,000. Roll back, that was pushed back into the general fund.
You've heard the request.
I'll move that we approve spending up to 17,000 for expenses associated with the 150th celebration from the Parks and Rec budget.
Support.
Properly moved and supported that we contribute up to $17,000 towards the 150th. Thank God, we want to do this every 150 years. Any questions on the motion?
I just have a comment, and it's just, I need some better accounting.
Yeah, this is,
Report, yeah,
this is the most confusing.
very confusing.
Yeah. I need what's in, what's out.
Right. It's kind
That's
of,
the bottom line is.
right.
Okay. Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski?
No.
Mr. Bellinger? No? No. Mr. Claiborne?
Yes.
Trustee Haslett?
Yes.
President Dillon?
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Last month, we had a brief conversation about offering bonuses for grants. And I'm going to put this out there to the public meeting. And this was a private conversation, but and it's pretty much a challenge. Because we don't have anybody out there actively, we've often heard about the village managers seeking grants, and these are things that we as elected, appointed, or employees can do. And I've just proven it with this PennDOT grant. But in return, because we're doing above and beyond, I think that person, employee, elected official, appointed official should be properly compensated for that effort. Okay, and that can also be an incentive for them to do something. I'll be the first to admit that while I certainly appreciate this board, with the exception of a couple members, it is for the most part totally inactive. I see Mr. Picoli and I see Mr. Mason. I see Mr. Fontowski on the planning, but for the most part, it's inactive, and it needs to get busy. Do we go out and hire a village manager to do this work, or do we do it? I think we're all capable. But I will bring back next month a resolution that for those who do the work and are successful in their efforts, that they're properly compensated for that effort. Or like myself, who just fulfilled our constitutional duties and sit back, do nothing. And if anyone has any comments on my comments, feel free.
Where would the compensation come from the grant itself? Or
It can't come from the grant.
It can't come from the grant.
And this is nothing unusual. There's a lot of communities that I know of, particularly in public safety, that they have ordinances in place that allow that person that pursues and receives that grant to be compensated out of the general fund. And this is all in lieu of hiring a grant writer, hiring a professional to do what we can do. But, like myself, and I'm sure the rest of you may not be as verbal about it, but we should be compensated for our efforts. Okay? I mean, I have always fulfilled my responsibilities as a village president, and I certainly don't want to be, out there working 40 hours, when it's essentially only a 1 hour a week job.
I like the idea of it as an incentive, and I think it could be a real positive thing for the village. Just myself personally, if I find a grant and I go through it and it helps the village out, I mean, I really don't care if I get compensated or not for it.
I don't care.
It's part of my job.
It's part of our job, but right now I feel like my job is, I feel that the majority of this board think that this is my job, and it's not. It's not. My job is essentially, according to the state constitution, is the day-to-day basic function of this community and to chair this meeting. So that being said, I will bring forward a resolution spelling out what I think we should offer to the elected, appointed, and the employees of this community.
What about John Q. Fubble?
If John Q. puts forth the effort, sure. I'm not opposed to John Q. But it has to be something that is useful to the village, because there's a lot of garbage out there. Okay? New business. Planning update?
Well, we talked about the sign ordinance earlier, and we're just continuing on our work of reviewing the master plan.
Item B. Mr. Hazak.
Parks and Rec update, we didn't actually meet, but we are working on a Movies in the Park for late summer. And just to reiterate, we do have music in the park first, second, and fourth Fridays in July and the first Friday in August.
I'm gonna give you an update on that. I should have. Music in the park is in jeopardy this year. There's been a major confusion with our stage. Somehow our dates were not put on the calendar. Well, with the exception of one date. Only the second, the August 2nd was put on the stage calendar. Our other dates were given away.
Sounds like a fall festival of music in the park.
So we've had some discussions and we've reached out to some other communities who have stages, but there's a rental fee where ours and cost is not there. You know, and with the additional money being put toward the 150, I don't want to take on any additional expense. So we may maintain the current dates, but we may move it to the Haven Ridge Park. And what we would do up there would be to remove the picnic tables from one of the pavilions and just allow the band to sit up under one of the pavilions. You know, they won't be elevated, but they'll be just as loud.
Well, I wasn't able to that. I had someone I can actually reach out to, so.
That has a stage?
Yes.
Please do it. And so, no band has been informed, nothing has been canceled. Okay. And we certainly didn't want to cancel this prematurely. I think one of the, Marcus.
Yes, sir.
Has the Haven Place bike rack been installed?
Yes, sir.
The Fountain Park bike rack was put on hold because of the sidewalk reconstruction.
I saw one on the DPW update. That was Haven Place?
Yes.
Okay.
Item C, Fire Department Village. It's been an ongoing discussion with the Fire Department leadership as to funding. And we have not come up with any concrete way to provide additional funding. And at our last Tuesday meeting, I suggested probably the only way you could probably do anything would be to get council approval to seek an additional fire village. So that's why it's on the agenda. If the fire department would like to come up, chief. If council has any questions,
I think everybody knows me, I'm Bob Brazil, I'm the fire chief. We've had discussions, like you said. First, I'll give you a little foundation, then my assistant chief's going to give you some statistics as far as money and so on and so on. 71% of the fire departments in the United States are just like this one. They're volunteer, or they're part paid, or they're paid per call. Okay? There's a nationwide shortage of applicants. There's a nationwide shortage of interest. No one's interested in being a firefighter anymore for a lot of reasons. Millennials are different. Doesn't make them good or bad. It just makes them different. They think a little different. The other thing is that the requirements require, I've had people come in and want to join the fire department and help the community, and I appreciate their wanting to do that. But when you tell them that you're required to go to school for a year, 2 nights a week, and every other Saturday in order to get your fire certificate and your medical certificate in order to be legal, they never come back. No, that's a lot of training, it's a lot of time we're asking them to take out of their life. So getting people to do this is getting harder and harder. Day shift on the 71% of the fire departments in the United States is always the shortest. Right now, we're just like everybody else, we're very short of people on days. In the past, I'll give you a little history, in the past, we depended on people that worked for the DPW, we depended on people that worked in the community, and their employers to let them go to do fires. But that was back when we had probably 100 calls a year. So you to let your worker go from the factory to help with this, whatever the problem is. So far this year, we've had 176 calls during the day shift. Our day shift runs from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and
and then the night shift is 7 PM to 7. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, people are going to work. Most of the people have day jobs. We were spoiled for a while because we had 3 or 4 people that worked afternoons, and it was great. We never had a problem. We're in a crisis, but it's not just us, it's a nationwide crisis, and I've discussed this with the president on some occasion. So I'm going to have the assistant Steer come up here and give you some statistics as far as how we can temporarily at least fix this problem. Now, obviously, we know there's only so much money, and we don't want to spend any of the money, but we've got to do something. There are days, I've sent you emails, there are days we have nobody to call, nobody to go on calls. Now, some people's answer is you call for mutual aid, which we have a mutual aid pack all through the county. The problem is everybody around us, Lance Township, New Baltimore, Richmond, they're all in the same boat because they're all in the same category. They're either part paid, volunteer, or paid per call. So he's got some statistics. What we're asking you to look into is some temporary fixes until we can hopefully get some a little more money to actually hire people. So I'll let him talk to the rest of that.
What I just gave you was a spreadsheet of our total volume by hour throughout the day. It just shows that during the day, what we call a day shift and night shift, majority of those calls, 176 of them, are actually done between the day shift hours. You see the spikes at like 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. What we're looking to do is, what Chief Frisbee said, is to have some sort of day shift. Part-time, we work 29 hours a week. The law says we had an increase of our millage. 2 more mills, roughly each mill brings in $8,000. With 2 more mills, should have been 147,000 will be able to get us 5.8 part-time people. Those people would cover the shifts as needed. Doesn't mean that we would use them. Some guy was on vacation that week. Hey, Chief, I want to be here this week. I'm not bringing the part-timers. Doesn't mean that we have to use it. It would just be there in case we do need it. Any questions? The short-term fix would be increasing my hours. Currently get 10 hours a week. Increase my hours to 29. That would alleviate some of it, and then possibly bring on a second 29-hour shift to help out. The chief has not been to his mandatory meetings in the last 3 months. We have nobody during the day. There's been a couple times where they've been nobody available to answer that call. Vernon, nobody was wrong. Any questions?
I do have one for the attorney. Is there any way that we can use the village funds outside of the special assessment to supplement the fire department in any way?
Yes. You'd have to earmark any special assessment. You'd have to earmark any special assessment, but you're not going to use just general funds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's never been done.
Yeah, there's no issue with that. You must earmark those SAE funds, but you use general funds if available.
So if we have room in the general fund then to help supplement, we wouldn't have to increase any millage.
Well, you know what, the general fund, I would say is healthy, but if we're going to start shifting that, then something else is going to suffer. So, it's better to prepare. There are certain funds that are designated. The general fund is.
Just to give you a little breakdown of what we do, 79% of what we do are 300 calls or EMS calls. About roughly 5% we do are fires. About 0.71% is natural disasters. 3% is false alarms. And about 9% are good intent calls, we call. And then about 3% are hazmat calls. So we don't always, obviously, we don't do a lot of fires, we do a lot of medical. I believe we're pretty close to 300 right now. Last week we did 23 calls, some of which were upwards of 5 days. 2.5 square miles, that's a lot. Like I said that before, we are very busy, and we only intend to get busier because of all the influx in the population.
One of the questions that's been consistently posed to the chief and the assistant chief has been shifting money. How does that address manpower? Does it?
I can't answer that.
I haven't asked the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking.
How does that address manpower? Because we're constantly told that there's a shortage. So we want to know, how does that translate into more bodies that are available to answer calls? And I haven't been given an answer that I can sleep on yet.
So to answer that question,
With the funding that we've asked for, it's hard to get people in the area that are available anymore. I've already told you that. There have been people that have come from places like Shelby Township and wants to help with the fire department, has their credentials already, has their medical license, but they live in a full-time department, so there's no room for them to work. But they don't do me any good unless I have a shift for them to actually cover. When I need somebody here, because I have to go to a meeting, or when I need somebody here because there's nobody available, I call it the rent-a-fireman program, and I don't mean that just badly. But what it is I don't know how big the pool is because I don't have anything to offer yet, but I know that I have had people from different places come to me and say, I would like to work shifts here. Now, obviously, they'll have to come to our training, they'll have to know how to use our equipment, but once they do that, I can rent them for the hours, and if we don't need them, we won't be spending that money. But when we do need them, we'll have them here. The only thing that they'll absolutely be required to do is to come to training, like I said, so they know all the equipment, they know how to use the equipment. But these people have credentials, they have experience, but because of where they live, they're not involved, and they want to be involved. I would love it if everybody in the village wanted to be involved in the fire department like the old days, but like I said, it's just not, those days are gone. The requirements are so stringent now, and some of that's good, some of it's bad. But the bottom line is, we're asking for money to rent people. So they're going to be almost like an outside contractor. Even though that might be a bad way to put it. They're going to come when we need them to fill hours. We're going to have a schedule ahead of time. We know that on this date, he has to work. We know on this date, half the people are out of town, blah, 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 blah. And then we'll always have coverage. So far, we've been lucky. We've dodged the bullet. We haven't missed any calls. But that's not going to happen forever. Okay? I'm very proud to have this job. I'm very proud to serve this community. But I plan my life around making sure that somebody is here, okay? And I just can't keep doing it. I just can't. So that's the bottom line. And so the whole point is, the money is to rent people to make sure that you guys get what you deserve in the point of service. We've been here since 1880. We've always provided excellent service. We've always tried to do the best we can for the community. We do a lot of things for free for the community. And we do that because that's what we want to do. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to educate everybody. Because we think different than you do. We think different than you're politicians, and you think we're firefighters and public servants, and we think it doesn't make us right or wrong, but I just want to make sure you understand where we're at, that this is going to help alleviate some of the problem. The answer, of course, is come up with a whole lot of money and we can hire people. And I know that's not feasible, okay? I know that's not feasible. But that's the answer.
So I want it real simple and real black whatever, because I don't have any accounting of what you're asking for, which would make it a lot easier.
So I'll ask you this, how many hours, you threw out 29 hours a week is what the law allows. So for you to attend these meetings and classes and he's not available, how many hours per month do you need someone?
Per month?
Or do you want to get it on a weekly basis?
Yeah, it's just
Or
right
no,
now,
it's just kind of abstract.
we
It's
want
not
to have the option of having 29 hours. Well, we need somebody, a 29-hour person here. And then what we're asking for the second one is at less money, but that's the rent to fireman truck program. Running the fire department, do you want to stand up? I'm sorry. Running the fire department requires a whole lot of things that people don't understand or don't see behind it. We have many, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys have to have many masters you have to please to the federal government, the state government, the county government, so on and so on. We do too. There's so much requirements of paperwork and making sure things are in line, making sure that if we have a disaster, that all of our ducks are in order so we can get federal funding, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess an answer to your question is, so we need one person here, 29 hours. The other one will be hit and miss as we need them, up to 29 hours. We're probably not going to use that all the time, but there are times, like I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks, I'm leaving town. He's going to be the only one in town, and he has a job and he has children. So this would be the perfect opportunity to rent the fireman. As it is, I take money that I receive for my administrative duties and actually pay somebody to cover now out of my pocket. Because I figure you guys are paying me and I'm not going to be here. It's only fair that I pay someone to be here. But like you said, we can't keep doing this. We just can't.
Where does 29 come from?
Well,
That's-
because
that's the
29
new-
is keeping them under benefits and things like that.
If-
But
if
at the
you-
same time, I'm going to say, if you're
Is it
entitled
29
to,
cents?
If you run over 29 now, you have to pay benefits and all that.
but at the same time, you are entitled to a vacation every year, correct? Is that in your contract?
No.
Okay.
I get paid for just doing administrative work. That's it. I don't have a contract. I don't have anything. I'm here. I get so much a month for doing the chief type duties, and that, which I'm fine with that. I don't want a 29-hour job. I'm happy doing it the way I do it, even though it's.
I'm trying to help you, so.
What I need is not money for me, I need money so that I can have a life. So
Right.
basically,
Right, and I'm trying to help you get there.
Are there people out there for rent?
I'm sorry.
Because we're over here just dancing right now. Are there people out there for rent?
Yes, I've had people that have come to me. I don't know how big the pool is, because I don't, but I know I've had several people, probably 4 or 5 people that want to join the fire department. They live in St. Clair Shores, they live in Shelby Township. They have credentials, but they have no place to use the credentials.
Okay.
But if I had, like you said, and the pool could be humongous, I don't know. I don't know.
In the last 30 days, if you had this rent a fireman program, as you call it, how often would it have been utilized, like in man hours? How many hours would you have spent,
In the last,
30 days, 60 days?
well, I can think of 3 meetings that I couldn't go to because there was nobody available in town, so that would be 3 at least. For it to come up with the.
Yeah, how often would you rent, how long?
Please don't misunderstand what I mean, but I don't know what else to call it. Contract.
I'm going off of what you said.
I know of at least 3 in the last month. There's probably 6 days that I should have had somebody else. But like I said, there will be times that we will use that 29, and there will be times that we won't use that 29. Because some of my people work for ambulance services and stuff, and so there are days that I have people available, and there's days that they're all gone, because that's just part of the workforce. Like I said, in the old days, we had people to choose from in the community and the DPW, but those days are gone. People just either don't or can't go to the schools to get their certificates. Anything else?
In the case of, there's no coverage on site.
I'm sorry, what's that?
On those few occasions when there's not any coverage on site, say for a medical run, what happens?
what happens.
A 911 call comes in.
Yeah. The county will tow us out, then they'll tow us out a second time, and then they're supposed to go to our list of mutual aid. Okay, so probably the next step up would be Lennox Township, which has 1 or 2 people on it during the day too. If they're on a call, then they move up, and they can't respond, then they move up. They move up. You know, we have a pecking order, I guess you'd call it. The only, like I said, the bad part is that everybody around us is very skimpy on days because most people work days. That's just the way it is. We were spoiled for quite a while. Like I said, we had guys that worked afternoons, and it was great because they were always around there.
When a call comes in, and, because I don't fully understand the process, but it's called out as a medical or a fire or auto accident or it's fairly specific.
If you're down 911, it goes to the sheriff, you give them the information, they told us, like that noise you just heard, that's for Lennox Township. They told us and they give us the information. We also have it comes to most of our phones. Also, it gives you a description, what it is, where it is, and if there's any issues with the occupants, because some people don't like you in their house and stuff like that.
When is the ambulance called?
They're called about the same time.
Same time?
Usually, sometimes before, sometimes later.
So there's no, do we call them or they're?
No, that goes through the 911 system.
So on those occasions when we may not have coverage for a medical emergency, can I safely assume that an ambulance is also dispatched?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But here's the problem. Richland Lennox provides us with very good service. They provide us with, we have a good working relationship. They have 3 stations, 3 ambulances, and how many square miles do you cover, Jeff? About, just give me a guess. 208. Okay. We waited for the truck from Memphis to get here because they're busy. They're on other calls. If it's your family member that requires help, do you want us who are here there right away to treat them, and then the ambulance to get there as quickly as they can, or do we want to just?
There are always those situations where you have a fire call at the south end and there's another one coming at the north end. Mm-hmm. I understand that those coincidences happen.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we get toned out, we have it is required to us by law that we respond. If we can't, then we have to say that. But if we get toned out, we have to respond.
If we're unable to respond, we have to get our next one on the pecking order to take the call for us. We've taken calls from Chesterfield, we've taken calls from Lennox, and vice versa. We all help each other. We're here for the community. That's all we want.
So that's what it's supposed to work.
Yeah. Like I said, we realize that there's only so much money. But our budget is probably the lowest budget in the whole county. We try to be real careful about how we spend it. But like I said, we want to provide the same service that we've always provided, which is if you need us, we'll do this. And I don't know.
But your budget is also, since you brought up budget, and I wasn't going to go there, your budget is also the healthiest ever been.
Yes, sir, thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, I'm not complaining about that. But all I'm saying is that I realize there's only so much money, but you can, it's up to you guys.
We actually thought we were alleviating some of these concerns a few years back when we took back from the fire department their tax obligations, and their rent obligation, their insurance obligation to the building. All those things we took back into the general fund. So that their budget was their budget, their 3 mil was their 3 mil, their whole 3 mil, not half of it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a recommendation. I don't have a suggestion. I told these guys that I would put it on the agenda for discussion. And so I guess that's what we're having right here.
Thank you for your time.
Myself personally, I said, I have no problem, like, other than this month here, I really don't like spending money either. But if we're gonna spend money, essential services is something we should do. I sat here and watched, spend $120,000 a year on an auditor. I've seen them on the brink of a $100,000 city manager, village manager. I would rather have 2 firefighters for that price than those 2, personally. So, they're not gonna pull my kid out of a car, they're not gonna give me CPR, but a firefighter will.
I agree with you, I just would like to see a better plan.
I would
And I
like to see
think,
one too.
right, and then maybe that could help further facilitate the conversation. Makes sense.
Can I make a request? Can you, right now we're talking in terms that a lot of us don't understand about scheduling, mutual aid. Is there any way you can provide us with further information? Go back maybe 1 month, look at your schedule, make a copy of the calendar, show us where you would have liked a body to plug in. If we are talking about rent a firefighter, give us a cost, hourly rate. You said 29 hours a week. Maybe we just plug them in here, there, and the other.
We brought that one proposal in front of you for the Ways and Means Committee, remember?
Well, yeah,
That's
but
full-time.
that was a while ago, and can you give us a 1 month schedule?
A
Because,
part-time fireman at 29 hours costs $25,409.05.
okay, is that salary or hourly?
That's hourly,
What's the hourly rate?
$15.
$15 an hour. Okay. But can you give us like the past month where you could have used the body to plug it in?
Okay.
So we can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about.
You want us to email that to everybody? Or?
Yeah, if you would.
We'd like to do it.
Because I'm with them, instead of a full-time DPW worker, I'd rather have somebody sitting at the fire hall. But without numbers, I don't think we'd be able to make any kind of informed decision. Also, on mutual aid, I'm familiar with full-time departments, with departments like ours, which I guess you said is the majority of departments around here. Is borrowing equipment and manpower from other communities like a normal thing on a regular basis?
It's getting more and more normal because even the full-time departments are having hard times getting out people. It used to be we had 300 people taking a test for 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Now they're actually going to the fire academy where people are putting themselves through the fire academy because you can do that. And they're actually recruiting them out of the fire academies, the full-time departments. So it's not just us, but the part-time departments are the ones that are really suffering the most.
Well, I know from experience in the full-time departments, when we would get called up for mutual aid to surrounding communities, we expected them to have the manpower and the equipment once in a blue moon. But, again, when a department...
Right in the mutual aid agreement, which I don't want to prolong the same one.
Right.
Right in the mutual, we have a mutual aid agreement in Macomb County, everybody's on it.
Right.
And we even have a couple people that are in Wayne County that are on it. But the point is, if you can't fulfill your obligations for some reason, like there was a department that had, one of their people had an accident on the way to a call, so they were taking care of that problem. And we had to go and fill in for them because so they notified us, we can't fulfill this obligation because we were next on the pecking order, and then we did. So there is a good system involved, yes.
But do you account for a department not having enough manpower ever? Or not having the right equipment ever, but they expect you to plug in for them? They expect you to respond to mutual aid when you know that department is not scheduling the manpower, does not have the manpower or the equipment. We had an experience with the South End community like that, who deliberately went short on manpower, deliberately got rid of one of the ambulances, so they were constantly emptying out our South End station.
Right.
And after a while, you're burning up your mileage, your manpower, because that department is failing to meet minimum staffing requirements. Suddenly, you're the one that has to pick up the ball. So I don't know how that works for departments like ours. So.
We haven't had that problem yet.
Okay.
For one reason is that the mutual aid agreement used to be, you send a truck of 4 people.
but because everybody in the full-time departments are short of people, now it's down to a truck and 3 people. In Chesterfield's area, it's a truck and 2 people. So, I mean, that's what they said. And they're a full-time department. Because again, they're also short of people, and people come and go. People lose interest, people get burned out. You know, I appreciate all the work the president has helped us with already. And he's actually gave us some good ideas, but I'm just at the end of my rope. I don't know what to do from here on out. And if we can do it without spending any money, great. If I can get people to come over here and just volunteer, we'd feed them a steak dinner once a week, you know, that would be great. But it ain't gonna happen. Because if the steak's different.
So I guess I'm confused because we started this off with, can we potentially increase by 2 mills, and that was quantified as 80,000 per mill or total. And then we've heard about renting a firefighter, but I think there was also mention about also hiring somebody at 29 hours to regularly be here. So when we come up with a proposal, can it be a little bit more refined and say we're gonna have somebody at 29 hours plus a potential of, I mean, do you want 2 mills and that's it? Or do you want us to subsidize an income of 2 firefighters? And that's, because that's a, like if each mill nets you, how much did you say?
I guess I could clarify. The quick fix was to jump my hours up to 20 hours so I can help alleviate some of the problems. The millage rate increase would be able to have more guys, 2 guys on.
That would be a
All the
much longer term fix.
It's a longer term fix. That would be able, right now, we can cover during the week. We have the paid on call guys that be able to cover nights and weekends. We know full time's going to cost us a lot of money, so we're just looking to get. And I'm not saying that we're going to use all 6. This is just a worst case scenario. We're going to use 6, or we need 2 guys here. This he's got to go. We need 2 guys here, 1 guy here. Maybe come summertime, we goes on vacation, right? Well, these 2 guys are going to work the weekend because there's just nobody here. So that's where the millage rate would come in. The quick fix was just to get somebody in there during the day to help him. So he's got mandatory meetings. He's just not going to.
Right. So 2 mills nets you how much more?
Each mill is 80, so 160 total.
1,000.
Yes, roughly.
It would be just to flat out give you a 2 mil increase, but you're saying that at 29 hours for, let's just even round it to $26,000 per firefighter for 2 29-hour firefighters. I guess I'm having a little bit of difficulty looking at it and going 2 29-hour firefighters at $26,000 a year would solve the problem. But there's a request for a 2 mil increase. I mean, in a perfect world, of course, we have 6 people on all the time.
This would come, this clarifies the 5.8 people that we need to cover 24/7. And actually, I think this is on 24 hours. So 365, 24 hours, and 140. That's where we're justifying that.
Right, but we've already got, you already have a budget for some of this, right?
Correct. That would be, yes.
So I guess what I would like to see, instead of, I understand this makes it clean and we're just asking for a millage increase and then we'll handle it from there, but what I would personally like to see is what you actually need in a budget overage, instead of just generically saying we're going to reallocate or we're going to raise by 2 mills. And then it's on you kind of where it's spent. I'd like to see if maybe we could get by with 1 mil, or if there's just a reallocation of funds somewhere that doesn't out of the gate say $160,000.
To bring up more problems, the reason that we would like 2 mills is not because we want to take people's money. We have a lot of equipment, a lot of equipment that needs to be replaced. They need to be replaced today, they need to be replaced in the near future. We talked about this, and fire trucks are unfortunately not cheap. And there's NFPA standards, there's OSHA things that need, some of this stuff has to go. SCBA's and breathing apparatus, they have to be replaced every 10 years. And there, how much is it for, what was the last quote? SUV?
6,000.
And I understand that, but I'd like to see it on paper and say, this is why we want 2 mills. And I know we've gotten previous requests, but if we could actually like have something tangible that we can touch. If my employee, if my assistant comes to me and says, I need you to cut me a $2,500 check, which happened today, and my question is, why? Like, why do you want $2,500 from me? Well, my computer quoted, it doesn't work, do you want me to work? Great. You know, this is what it'll replace to bring it up. But so if we had something that just in front of us, like said.
I
so
can
that
get
it's
that to you,
just-
'cause I gave that all to Ways and Means, so I can get that.
Right, just so that it's not on the platform of let's just allocate these mills to actually say what is the plan going forward. You know, something similar to maybe what was put in the school's bond proposal before we even submitted it, to say, this is what we're asking for and this is what we're gonna
You
need.
just want more clarification?
Right, yeah, what we're gonna need it for right now, but moving forward, if there's an overage in the budget, what it's gonna be allocated for.
Yeah,
And the age of the equipment, if you know these apparatuses are gonna maybe be replaced in September, we need to know that ahead of time. And then I guess I'm gonna bounce up, why did it not go through Ways and Means, this discussion?
It did. Ways and Means at the time was approached with 6 full-timers. Yeah, and then it was knocked down to 2. Yeah, the original proposal was for 6 full-timers. And Ways and Means asked for some of the same information. And I think it was knocked down to maybe 2. That's when I first had the discussion about when is the busy time. And I was surprised to find out it is dangerous. It's busier than you know. I've got some information, I'll be glad to, give it to, that we got at the meeting.
Maybe we should just start fresh.
Yeah, because the requests have changed a little bit according to funding and,
Yeah, we were looking at 1 full-time and 1 part-time.
okay. I think, but originally someone threw out 6 full-time. Because I was kind of like,
It would have cost $1 million.
yeah, I was like, oh. And maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was someone else, but, yeah, it's changed, the requirements have changed, and there are different options available now.
Yeah, we were trying to, get away from the full-time, because obviously that costs, like, all that stuff costs. So we were trying to move.
Okay, so we have a request then, from Ways and Means.
Just for the whole council, because this sounds like it's kind of a hot button topic. When we all got the email saying nobody would be in the lunchroom, that was kind of a little breathtaking. Maybe for the whole council next month, like I said, if you can get us something that shows 30 days back, when we could have used the plugins. And the long-term fix would be asking for additional funding, but right now, why don't we address the immediate problem of vacancies in the lunchroom? Would that be possible to bring back to next month's meeting and remind us of what the hourly rate would be for a plug-in? I'm going to call it plugins,
You can have that before the meeting.
Yeah, oh yeah, if you could send out an email.
We'll just send it, we'll send it to all of them.
And then I think the long-term fixes as far as equipment, replacing the equipment, that's definitely a discussion that needs to be done, handled, but right now I think the immediacy of the vacant lunchroom needs to be addressed, if that's okay. What do you think?
We need people to run the equipment, yeah, that's top priority.
You're
Thank
scaring
you for these
me.
hearings out, and we'll send you all that information.
Thank you.
Call from the floor.
Bruce Street. I would just offer this one comment. I've been listening real careful with the fire department discussion. And it sounds like it's something that you can't just keep band-aiding going forward that way. This has been an issue for a long time. So all due respect to the good guys in the fire department, they're doing a good job, and they're highly respected in the community. But maybe it's time to reconsider after all these years have passed, because we are a small town marrying up with another fire department to perhaps enlarging the pool from 2 departments. Maybe that would be a solution. So my suggestion would be to just kind of revisit the thought of maybe joining up with the Lennox Department, which was considered, this was several years ago, when that was brought up, but maybe that's could be a good long-term solution if approached in the right direction and not as we protecting our own territory, but look at it from a standpoint of what's best for the people in the entire area. They're on that side of the tracks. We're on this side of the tracks. We don't have any, I don't know, we have any support on the other side of the tracks. Does Lennox have anything on the other side of the tracks?
Just go to the station.
On the west side of the track?
The Lennox station out on
North Avenue?
31.
31, okay.
Georgia.
Yeah, that's a long way out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to plant that idea.
Okay.
Thanks.
If we're held up in Colray Township, which is up the road.
Mr. President, I know it's late, but it's in the, as much as my organization is addressed, I just want to share with the board. I know that I send you a monthly email, I hope with the hundreds of emails you almost get in your roles, you have time to look at that. We share with you every month our response time for EMS, and I would share with you that anytime you see one, literally you can look at every single response time if you look at that report closely. Anytime you see one that you have any concerns about it, ask you to contact us. Just for the record, the data is wonderful because I can get it on my cell phone sitting at your meeting, and I can tell you in 2018, the calendar year, we had 496 patient encounters, is how we refer to our encounters in the EMS in the village of New Haven. Our average response time was 5 minutes and 17 seconds. For the past 365 days, that includes today's, all of today's runs up until when I was sitting here, it was 5 minutes and 29 seconds on average. Averages mean there's some that are a little higher, some that are a little lower, obviously. I will tell you that in Macomb County, we have a medical oversight board that paramedics answer to. That medical oversight board suggests that, in the medical oversight board, medical doctors, so there are people far smarter than I, to make these kind of decisions. For communities that exist north of 26 Mile Road, which New Haven is just on that fringe, they say that any response that is less than 14 minutes is acceptable, and that they believe that, medically speaking, from data that they look at over and over again, that 14 minutes or less is an acceptable response time. So we're beating that by a long ways on average, and even in the south end of the county, so that south of 26 Mile Road area, the same medical oversight board says that what is acceptable in urban areas is 8 minutes or less. So I think both your fire department and EMS are doing a great job of exceeding the expectations of the physicians for whom we work on medical runs. I have no opinion with regards to your fire department, fire suppression, responding to rescues or car accidents. That's not my area of expertise. Thank you.
Call from the floor. Call from the table.
We have a party coming up.
Motion in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
George.